Hey all, welcome back to Bex Square Gaming. This is 7 Days to Die that we're going to be doing. It's a slightly different version. It is the rebuild one. I've decided for Alpha 21 I'm going to get stuck into a new rebuild. So lots of different buildings. It's just going to be me today, Scottish Bex, and it'll be a much quieter, calmer stream. So it's just a random gen that I've done. I'm going to put the world seed on the map very shortly. There was no preset, it was purely random gen, and that is the world seed that I used just in case you're interested in using it yourself. So we'll get stuck straight into the first building. Okay, so I haven't done anything yet in this game other than find a suitable location to actually do some building. So I kind of want to ease us in slowly. So obviously I just want to give you a feel for what we're looking at. So this is a bit of a sprawling middle town. It's got a lot of decent sized buildings. We have I don't know if that's meant to be a hotel or kind of or not a block. We'll have a look when we get to it. At the moment, it tells you the names. There is a cracker book over there. There is, I don't know what that one is. There's a hotel. There's another big building there. We have the apartment block over there. So we do have quite a few decent sized ones to do here. Plus, obviously, all the wee smaller ones. And I thought this would be a good one to do. So I thought we'll just start on something simple today. Probably this. As always, with the rebuild series, it will probably be one building an episode. So it's not going to be like one day and, you know, each day like we do when we're playing the game. This is going to be just one building per episode, obviously, so it'll be a lot of fast forwarding and skipping as we go, and we'll see where we go from there. I'll probably just start with the building I'm standing on because this is kind of quite central. I think it's a good sort of base to finish and start on every single day, and I'm always going to remember it because it's this sort of bit at the top. So I think if we take a look at this building and maybe think about doing this building to begin with, it's not a tiny building, but I actually don't think it's going to be a particularly difficult building to do. It's not, we're not really necessarily going to fill the insides. We can do, but it's more just about cleaning up and rebuilding it and making it. My thought is you're rebuilding the city and other people will come in and build the insides. You can redo the insides if you want, but it's a bit of a mix. So it will be a bit of a mix. A series, it's always going to be, if at any point I've done one and you'd like to see me do essentially the inside of the building, obviously that can be requested and we can go back and do an additional episode on doing the inside of the building. So as always, first thing we're going to need is all of our equipment. The beauty of this, as always, if anyone's done anything in creative, it just simply clears everything really quickly for you. Let's have a quick look at the building, get a feel for it. So this one is called Decayed Office Tower. Okay. There's a lot to clear out on floor 1. Oh, I love it when you hear the sounds of everything exploding around you. We've got a couple of blocks. Okay, so we've got stairs, we've got floor, 2, 3, 4 floors. I don't think it's a massive building though. We just take our time and start clearing it. So we also need to start cleaning up the edges and replacing them, but obviously we need to do that from the ground up because thing will buckle if we don't. So I usually try to take... So... Let's have a look at the building. Okay, so we need to put... Let's get the corners back in. That's usually the safest thing to do first. So we're going to need some cement. So There's different ways of doing your rebuild. Anyone will know who's seen me do it. You can actually literally play the game and have to make everything. I don't tend to do that for my rebuild series. I will do a version of that if people would like. But I tend to just do it as we go. So we're looking for concrete. The only downside with doing that, as you can see, is they've built it so that it moves into it rather than over it. So there is a sneaky way of doing this, which is that you actually put what you want up to the edge and then you put a path plate over it, which is kind of a sneaky way around it. The question is, how do we get rid of that little bit? Ah, I forgot that's one of the sneaky ways of doing it. So if we get just some frames, these ones I think I'm looking for. Nope, that's not the right one again. I'm having a good day today, am I? There we go, those ones. Yes, because then you can pick them up. That's exactly what it is. Need to remember that when it's misbehaving. Okay, so we're getting the basic structure in, which is fine for rebuilding. The game actually, anyone who's played the game knows the game has physics in it, well, very basic level of physics. So each block has a weight, and if you don't fully support it, it will collapse. That would have been a good drop. Right, so let's go back to the ground level where we were working, because we need to try build it from the ground up to ensure it's properly secured. So we've got that all the way up. What we don't have in here yet is cross beams, so we need to put the cross beams in for future purposes. So this is a really nice example of where we have an additional block piece that's going to go on the outside. So if we copy the shape, copy the rotation, should be just, there we go, put it on. This is the downside to rebuilding. You're kind of, when you have a really damaged building, you're kind of guessing as you go. Oh, that was not what I intended to do. Could you do it like that? You could do it like that, I suppose. Trying to stick in theme with similar to that side. Although look, that didn't have one. So that was all brick. So straight off the bat, we know the answer to that was brick. So what it might be, more middle based. More like that, because then that works. We'll go with that for the moment. Okay, so we've got that. We still need to do all the window facings and all that kind of thing. But I'm okay with that. That seems to work. So the other thing we need to then finish reinforcing is the walls down here. We need to double check some of the internal walls, but before we put roofs and things on each layer as we go. And that is a hidden wall, okay. As you can tell by now, I don't have zombies turned on when I do this. I don't have blood moons. I don't have airdrops. I can get everything I need out of the bags. This is purely a build exercise, so I'm treating it like a giant sandbox essentially. This comes from, for me, it comes for the fact that when I'm looking at these buildings, the builder part of my brain always just wants to fix it. So that's where I started doing this, was that I took one look at them and I had to fix it. It's been a weird obsession of mine since I started playing this game. And yeah. I don't know if other people get the need to do it or if it's just a me thing. I'm assuming there will be some other people on the planet who feel they need to do it. It's as to whether they do it or not is the next question, but yes. And I know that's why it's been done. It's to stop that occurring. There is a sneaky trick around that, and I will show you it shortly. So my workaround for this really is essentially to make the paths a layer on top of the asphalt. And I'll show you what I mean. If I pull up you can you put the ash roll up to the area you want, and then you make yourself a sheet. You go for the sheet piece. There. So if you select the sheet, which is, as you can see, completely flat, then rotate it. Like that. But that's not going to work right now because of the bit on the inside, but we can deal with that in a minute. And all you do is take the colour. So under layer actually goes up. The problem with this is obviously this is going, yeah, see, there we go. It is just a sneaky way of doing it. I find it works for me. It maintains it. It technically puts another block there. But it does do the job. Also like to, and it's something I usually do at the end, is take away mess on the roads. I treat it like the Viscera cleanup detail. There's been some kind of apocalyptic event. You're just a cleanup duty. You're just fixing the city back and cleaning it up. And the idea that a new set of people will move in, or, you know, new obviously in the Viscera cleanup detail, new scientists. But yeah, same principle. That's the way I treat it. It was this city that fell, or this area that fell, and you're kind of like the cleanup duty that comes in, no questions asked, and rebuilds and cleans. That's kind of how I see this. Or at least that's how what goes through my head when I'm doing it. That's how I see it. I don't see it as, oh, this is interesting. I'm feeding my OCD. I see it more like, yeah, that I'm rebuilding with a purpose. I've been sent in by the powers that be to corporations that own the area. You know, Resident Evil occurred. You've now been sent into Raccoon City to clean it up. Had Raccoon City not been, you know, annihilated. This is where it gets awkward because this piece here doesn't paint. So I've had this before. And you've got to get it exactly the right angle. Get it to paint. Get it to paint it. Like that. On the edge. It's always on the edge. It is a nightmare to get it to do it. And it's slightly in. It's like the inner edge. I don't get it. I really don't. That's my not in. But it is how it paints. It must be to do with where it triggers. Okay, so we still need to put windows in and replace it. So I think maybe we can start putting the windows in and the window facings, and then we can get this area finished. So, oh, sun is rising. Did you see that? Did you see the shadows change on the building? That was awesome. I love, they've really, with the more recent stuff, really started to make the actual whole look of it so much better. I can't comment on how it is for everybody, but certainly from my perspective, it's been so much better. We need to put a door on there. This is the only downside to the building of this, is that you don't get just basic undamaged doors, which kind of do my nut in a little bit. It makes it really hard for when you're actually building things. It's a little frustrating. I'm gonna... Amy, is it worth just putting doors like that on? I mean... Because that seems to be... Yeah, see that's going away as one whole piece. Which would imply that was a door that I... Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. Ah, look. It's metal door. And it would have... I don't see the metal doors. Commercial door, maybe. Yeah, I think it's one of them. But the problem with them is that they all come with you can't get the the unthingied version, which is what you kind of want. So I think I'm just gonna get rid of them and put. Again, the downside to this, the not having doors that don't come without the barricades on, other than like the pantry doors and things, is slightly annoying. I'm pretty sure it's that one. As you can see, it does come, unfortunately, with the No, see, they're still, yeah, still damaged. These are the limitations. There's not, you don't always have everything fixed. There are limitations to what you can do, unfortunately. So, I'm happy with the outside of the building. The outside of the building is where I want it to be. I'm really pleased with it. It's looking great. So, just to give us, come back in daylight to give you some shots, but in general, it's good. So, I think we now need to start working through the inside. Not a massive amount to do. We'll start on the base layer floor. I think we've done the bottom floor, to be honest. What I do need to do is put a claim block down, which I will put here. I do not know if you picked that up there. I don't know if the audio picked that up. That was somebody speaking. That was a zombie grumbly speaking. That's obviously built into the soundtrack and designed to make you jump because I do not have zombies turned on. So I know it's not possible to have been a zombie. So, um, it must be. But that's interesting to know actually that it's actually built into the soundtrack. Because the amount of times I thought I've heard a zombie before and gone hunting for it and then not being able to find it, very interesting. That is our first building complete. So that is the office block built. We haven't done anything on the inside, as you can see if you look through the windows. It's purely just doors replaced, clean the building, rebuild it. Side, it's gonna look ready to be moved into by somebody else. So that's our first building rebuilt. So we've done our first one. I'm gonna leave this one here, I think. If anyone has any opinions on what we should do next, or at some point, I may do another video before this one is up on YouTube, so it might be the one after that. But yep, there's obviously houses and stuff in the distance as well. The idea being the plan was to expand out from where we are, but obviously, if that's going to take building after building, that's going to big building, that might get a bit boring. So I'm willing to do range, so we'll see where it goes from here. So let's leave it there. Thanks all for sticking around. If you have enjoyed yourself, please do give us a like and a subscribe. It really does help the channel. Keep a lookout for more of this series that I'll be doing. We're also hopefully going to be doing some more 7 days as a team. We've just been a little busy individually at the moment, trying to find it difficult to get time together. So fingers crossed we do. Also looking to do an older game series. We'll see how it goes. If you have any comments, please do leave them, and we will see you in the next video. Enjoy all.